Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. We're jumping to 10-6 because we're going to be solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. So before I get into this real quick, this is your reference sheet that you get when you take the EOC. Here's the quadratic formula right here. Remembering that this piece of the quadratic formula is what we use in order to find the vertex. Okay, so this is right here. It's easy to use, easy to memorize, and I'm going to teach you how to use it right now. Okay, so we're going to use the quadratic formula. So this is the quadratic formula. This part is the vertex formula. This part we'll get into in a little bit because there's something special that we can do with this part. But this is really easy to use once you know how to use it. So we're just going to use the quadratic formula in example 1, and I'm going to show you how to use it. Okay, so first we have to make sure that the equation is in standard form. So remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So right now I have ax squared plus bx and then an equal sign. So I'm actually going to add 11 to both sides to rearrange this formula. So now I'm going to have x squared minus 12x, because that didn't change, but I added the 11 here instead of it being on the other side of the equal sign. And now you can write equals 0, you can make this f of x, you can make this y, whatever you want, but this is the portion that we need. So everything's labeled. Remember, a here is that invisible 1, b is negative 12, and then c is the 11. Okay, so I'm going to write the quadratic formula down so that you start memorizing it. You should have written it in your notes. If you did not, do that now. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to plug into all of this stuff. So I'm going to start with x equals, I'm going to write the negative because it's part of the formula. B is negative 12, so I'm going to put that in parentheses. We've been practicing that with the vertex part of the formula because sometimes it's going to be negative, negative, and it's going to end up turning into a positive. I'm going to write plus or minus, and I'm going to show you what we do with that here in a minute. There's my square root sign. Sorry. Next, I have b squared. So in parentheses, I'm going to write my negative 12, and that's what's going to get squared. Okay, and then minus 4, that part doesn't change. And then a is 1. We're going to write it down just so that we didn't forget something. And c is 11. We're not done because we still have to come down here and do 2 times a. A is 1. Okay, let's simplify what we can. What we can start simplifying is just all the multiplication that we have to do. So I can multiply this, I can correct those signs, I can multiply these, I can even do the square root on this, or the squared, the exponent on this one. So x equals negative negative is going to make this a positive 12. Plus or minus, I'm going to keep my square root sign for now. This is going to be negative 12 squared. So negative 12 times negative 12 is positive 144. You can use a calculator if you don't know that one. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 11 is negative 44. And all of this is over 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so right now I can do something. I've got 144 minus 44. Well, that's going to be 100. So now I have x equals 12 plus or minus the square root of 100 over 2. Okay, now I'm going to take this square root. Okay, what is the square root of 100? If you don't know, I know that one in my head, but if you don't know, you're going to go press your square root button, which on this calculator it's above there, so we're going to press second that. It's that symbol. It's right here. I'm going to put 100. So it's what times what equals 100? 10. So I have right now 12 plus or minus 10 divided by 2. Now let's talk about the plus or minus. You have to do this twice. So we're going to have two problems. I'm going to have 12 plus 10 divided by 2, and I'm going to have 12 minus 10 divided by 2. Because remember what the quadratic formula is doing is it's trying to get us our solutions, and our solutions are where the parabola, the U-shaped graph, crosses the x-axis. So 12 plus 10 is 22. So I've got 22 divided by 2 equals 11. 12 minus 10 equals 2. So I've got 2 divided by 2 equals 1. So my two solutions, my two answers, so I'm just going to write over here, solutions are 11 and 1. Or you could have written them in order and did 1 and 11. Okay, so that's how you use the quadratic formula. Let's try it. You're going to pause the video. You're going to try it on your own. Refer back to your notes for what I just did. If you get stuck, unpause the video and watch. But if you're like, oh, I got it, then pause it again and keep trying. Okay? Okay, are you ready? You should have noticed here that this is not in standard form, so you're going to have to fix it. So if I add 70 to both sides, that'll put it in standard form for me. So now I have x squared minus 19x plus 70. And now I can plug into the formula. X equals negative, b is negative 19, plus or minus the square root of b squared. So this is going to be negative 19 squared minus 4 times a is my invisible 1, and c is 70. And this is going to all be over 2a. A is 1. Start with our multiplication, our things that we can do easily. So I've got x equals negative negative makes this positive 19 plus or minus the square root of negative 19 squared. So if you don't know how to do that and you're trying to put it in a calculator, you've got to put negatives in parentheses, otherwise it doesn't do it right. But if it's an even number of exponents, this is going to be positive. If it's an odd number of exponents, this is going to be negative. So this is negative 19 squared. So it's 361. 361. And then I've got negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. So I've got negative 4 times 70, which is negative 280. And then all over 2 times 1 is 2. I can subtract 361 minus 280. That's 81. So I've got 19 plus or minus the square root of 81 over 2. I know what the square root of 81 is. Do you? So second square root button, 81 equals, it's 9. So I have 19 plus or minus 9 divided by 2. We got to separate that out. So I've got I'm just going to keep going this way. 19 plus 9 divided by 2. And I have 19 minus 9 divided by 2. And both are going to be solutions. 19 plus 9. 19 plus 9. 28. 28 divided by 2 is 14. 19 minus 9. That's 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my solutions are 5 and 14. Okay, here we go. We're going to use the quadratic formula when A is not equal to 1. So now A is actually another number. So I'm just going to keep writing this quadratic formula down. Hopefully, you'll probably memorize it eventually. You don't have to memorize it because it's on your reference sheet, but the more you know it, the better you'll get at using it, and you'll start to memorize it. Okay, so let's see, is this in standard form? No. So I'm going to go minus 12, minus 12. If you need to, we can label it when we're done. 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. So A, B, C. Are you ready? X equals negative, what is B? 5 plus or minus the square root of, what is B? 5 squared minus 4 times, what is A? A is 2. What is C? C is negative 12. All over 2 times, what is A? A is 2. Okay, do the multiplication. So this is going to stay negative 5 plus or minus 5 squared. 5 times 5 is 25. This multiplication. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And then negative 8 times negative 12. So you can do negative 4 times 2 times negative 12. So it's going to be positive 96. So plus 96. All over 2 times 2 is 4. I'm going to, when I add, I'm going to bring it up here so then I can keep working down. So I know I'm going to have x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of, what is 25 plus 96? If you don't know, grab your calculator. 25 plus 96. 121. The square root of 121 over 4. I know what the square root of 121 is. Do you know what the square root of 121 is? Second square root button, because it's that thing up there. 121. It's 11. So it is going to be negative 5 plus or minus 11 over 4. We're going to separate it. Negative 5 plus 11 over 4. Negative 5 minus 11 over 4. Negative 5 plus 11. We don't know our negatives? Okay. Negative 5 plus 11. It's going to be 6 over 4. I can simplify that because both of these are divisible by 2. So if I divide by 2, I get 3 over 2. Negative 5 minus 11. Negative 5 minus 11. It's going to be negative 16. So I have negative 16 divided by 4. Do you know what negative 16 divided by 4 is? It's negative 4. Okay, so my answers are negative 4 and 3 over 2. Okay, so they're allowed to be different. So these are my solutions. I don't really want to put it in parentheses because it's not an ordered pair. And when I put it in parentheses, it looks like an ordered pair. But these are my solutions. Okay. Example 3. Solve any a quadratic equation with irrational roots. So our answer might look a little funny when we get to the end. The normal blood pressure of an adult woman, P, in millimeters of mercury given her age, T, in years, can be modeled by this equation. If Seiko's blood pressure is 120, how old might she be? Well, the first thing that I need to do is rewrite this equation in standard form because the blood pressure is P. So I'm replacing P with 120. So 120 equals 0.01 T squared plus 0.5 T plus 107. Is this in standard form right now? It's not, because I need this to go away. How do I get rid of this? I'm going to get rid of this by subtracting it. So it's going to cancel out over here. What does it go with over here? There's no variable, so it's going to go with this 107. So minus 120. Okay. So what is 107 minus 120? Do you know? 107 minus 120 is negative 13. So I know this is going to be negative 13. And I'm just going to bring these ones down. Plus 0.5 t, 0.01 t squared. So remembering, this is my A, this is my B, and this is my C. I now have to plug this into my quadratic formula. So you haven't memorized yet? See if you can write it as I write it. It's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, now let's plug our numbers into our quadratic formula. X equals negative, what is b? 0.5 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So I've got 0.5 squared. I already know this is going to do something crazy because when you square decimals, minus 4 times a, which is 0.01, times c, which is negative 13, all over 2 times what is a, 0.01. Okay, so let's just do the multiplication. It might look a little crazy when we do it, but here we go. This is going to stay negative, so negative 0.5 plus or minus the square root of 0.5 squared. Yesterday, some of you guys tried to do it in your head. Don't do it in your head. 0.5 squared, 0.25. So 0.25 minus 4. Well, I was getting ready to rewrite all of that. I don't want to rewrite all of that. I want to multiply it. Let's multiply it. So now I have negative 4, which you'll be able to see it, times 0.01, 0.01 times negative 13. It's going to be positive 0.52. Positive 0.52. All over 2 times 0.01. So 2 times 0.01 is going to be 0.02. Okay, let me do the addition here. I'm going to move it up here as I go. So I have x equals negative 0.5 plus or minus the square root of, I have 0.25 plus 0.52. Well, what do I do? Oh, I have 2 decimals. 0.25 plus 0.52. There we go. 0.77 over 0.02. Okay, so when I can't get a square root of that. Let's look what happens when you try to get a square root of 0.77. So second square root button, 0.77. I get that. Like, I don't want that. That's just craziness. It is too much. It doesn't work. So what we do for now is we're just going to leave it. And we're going to separate it now. So I'm going to have negative 0.5 plus 0.77 divided by 0.02. And I'm going to have negative 0.5 minus the square root of 0.77 over 0.02. And I'm actually going to work these out together. Okay, so I want to put all of this in the calculator. So watch me. Negative 0.5 plus the square root of 0.77, end the parenthesis on that one, press equals, and then divide by 0.02. I get an answer of 18 point, just go to the second decimal place, 87. We're going to use this symbol right here. It means approximately. It means this is an estimate. Okay, let's do this one. So I'm going to go negative 0.5 minus the square root of 0.77, end that parenthesis, press equals, and then divide by 0.02, press equals again. So this time it's negative 68 point, I'm going to go 87. And remember, this is an estimate. So this is what we're going to use as our solutions. It's irrational roots, which means these, like we're not going to get a real number. We're not going to get a number that's easy to work with. So our answers will be approximated answers. Okay. You're going to try one of those. I'm going to read it for you, and then you're going to pause and you're going to try it. The quarterbacks on a high school football team want to see who can get the most hang time when throwing the ball. Connor knows that using his initial velocity and height, he can model the trajectory of his throw with the equation h equals negative 16t squared plus 95t plus 5.2, where h is the height of the ball in feet and t is the time since the ball was thrown in seconds. After how many seconds will the ball hit the ground? Okay, so solve the equation by using the quadratic formula, eliminating any extraneous solution. Round your answers to the nearest tenth. Let's talk about this, eliminating any extraneous solution. Can the ball be in the ground for a negative amount of time? No, so we're going to actually get rid of it. And I think that's something that I skipped on the last one. We're talking about blood pressure. Somebody's blood pressure can't be negative, so we weren't going to use the negative solution. So this is already in standard form. So I have negative 16t squared plus 95t plus 5.2. This is A, B, C. Okay, so writing my quadratic formula, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So fill it in now. Negative, what is b? 95. Plus or minus the square root of 95 squared minus 4 times what is A? A is negative 16. What is C? C is 5.2. And then divided by 2 times what is A? A is negative 16. Do the math that you can do. So I've got negative 95 plus or minus the square root of, this is going to be kind of crazy because I've got to do 95 squared. So I'm doing 95 squared, 9,025 it might not be minus. I put a minus. I might be changing it to plus. I'm getting ahead of myself. So negative 4 times negative 16 times 5.2. Look, it's positive 332.8. All over 2 times negative 16. So 2 times negative 16 is going to be negative 32. Okay, so here we go. I can add that. I don't know why I'm getting rid of my calculator. So I've got 9025 plus 332.8. It's going to be that number right here. So I'm going to move on up. I've got 9357.8. I've got my negative 95 plus or minus, and I've got negative 32. I already know that's not going to work out because of the decimal. Like whenever there's a decimal, we know it's not going to work out, but you can check it. 9357.8. See, doesn't really work. I'm going to go ahead and separate these. Negative 95 plus the square root of that divided by negative 32. And then negative 95 minus the square root of that, I'm running out of room, divided by negative 32. All of it in the calculator. Here we go. Negative 95 plus the square root of 9357.8, end of the parenthesis, press equals, and then divide it by negative 32. I get crazy numbers. Negative 0.05. I'm going to stop there. Okay, now let's do this one. Negative 95 minus the square root of 9357.8 equals divided by negative 32. I'm getting 5.99. You can round that to 6 if you want, because remember, these are approximate. It's asking round your answers to the nearest tenth, so this one is going to be 6. It says, after how many seconds will the ball hit the ground? Which one would answer this better? A negative number or 6? We're going to say 6. So after 6 seconds, that's going to be our answer. Okay, we're almost done. We're going to talk about the discriminant. Okay, use the quadratic formula in the expression under the radical sign. So just this part right here. This part is called the discriminant. You can use the discriminant to figure out how many solutions a quadratic equation has. So if you do the discriminant and the answer is less than 0, there are no x-intercepts. There's no solutions. If you do the discriminant and the answer is 0, there is one solution. If you do the discriminant and the answer is greater than 0, there are 2 solutions. Okay, so we don't even need the square root part. We just need the part that is under the square root. So let's try that. We're on example number 4. So I'm going to write just the discriminant down. B squared minus 4AC. That's the discriminant. This is not in standard form, so I need to put it in standard form. I know I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So let me rewrite it. 4x squared minus 3x plus 1. There's my A, there's my B, there's my C. So let me write the discriminant. I've got B squared. So I've got negative 3 squared minus 4 times A. A is 4 times C. C is 1. Are you ready? Negative 3 squared. Remember what I told you. If it's an even exponent, this is going to be a positive number. So I've got, you got to put them in parentheses if you put the negative in the calculator. Negative 3 squared. Oh, wrong thing. Negative 3 it's just 9. And then do the multiplication. Negative 4 times 1. Negative 16. What is 9 minus 16? Okay, 9 minus 16. The answer is negative 7. So look, negative 7 is less than 0. Go back to the notes that we were just looking at. If I can flip a page. What if the answer, the solution, is less than 0, what do we have? If it's less than 0, there are 0 x-intercepts. So because the discriminant is less than 0, the equation has 0 solutions. Okay? The check, you're going to do this one and answer the same question. Go ahead and pause and try it. I'm going to write down the discriminant. B squared minus 4ac. So if the answer is less than 0, we have 0 solutions. If it's equal to 0, we have 1 solution. If it's greater than 0, we have 2 solutions. So remember that. So I'm going to have to add 9 to put this in standard form. I've got 8x squared minus 15x plus 9. A, B, C. I have negative 15 squared minus 4 times 8 times 9. Just plug it in numbers. Negative 15 squared, parenthesis, negative 15, and parenthesis, squared. It's going to be 225, 2, 2, 5, multiplication, negative 4 times 8 times 9. It's going to be negative 288. Okay, so I'm doing 225 minus 288. That gives me negative 63. Because the discriminant is negative or less than 0, the number of solutions we're going to have is how many? It's less than 0. So we have 0 solutions. Okay. To end you today, I'm going to show this. I would like you to try these 3 problems. Okay. If you don't finish these in class, this is your homework. These are the 3 problems we're going to start with practice. So write these 3 problems down, or come back and look at these 3 problems. These are 3 problems you're going to work on your own using the quadratic formula. We're going to get this.